brief session with the Honorable Dr. Veerappa Moily. We are very fortunate to have him here with us today. He is the Cabinet Minister in the Government of India and the Minister in charge of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. This meeting has been made possible through Rashmi Patel, whose dad he is, and Rashmi and Nikhil live in our area. So a big thank you to Rashmi and Nikhil for bringing your dad over. I think I know a lot of you, but for those that don't know me, I'm Shaila Shinai, and my job today is to give you an introduction to Dr. Moily, and also to introduce our moderator, Dr. Ashok Rao. Our topic today is doing business in India, how institutions all over the world can benefit from India's human resources. Now, some background on our distinguished guest. Dr. Moily has held many elected posts over his distinguished career, including serving as the Chief Minister of the state of Karnataka. He has been at the helm of many ministries and departments, both in the Karnataka state and as well as the central government of India. Under his leadership, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs is responsible to deliver on this vision, and I quote from the website, to facilitate forward growth with enlightened regulation in India. Not only a career politician, our guest is a man of numerous talents. He is a lawyer and an author. Yes, he is a man of letters. He is well recognized as a literary figure with many full-length novels, plays, and poetry to his credit. He is currently working on a book titled Unleashing India, describing the ways in which the world can benefit from India's human potential. A warm Rochester welcome to Dr. Moily. I request Mrs. Moily Srinivasan, an ICC board member, to escort Dr. Moily to the stage. Are we on? Okay. Thank you, Maitri. Now, for some background on our moderator. Dr. Rao is the Dean of the Business School at the Rochester Institute of Technology. He has held this position since 2007. He is a graduate of I.I.T. Kharagpur in his early days. And in the US, he has spent 25 years as a faculty member at Babson College and also worked at Northeastern University and the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, RBI. In addition to academia, what you need to know is Dr. Rao has spent a lot of time in industry. So he has a unique blend of experience, industry and academia. A lesser known fact about Dr. Rao is his personal connection to Karnataka, Dr. Moily's home state in India. Dr. Rao's father was the first Chief Secretary of the state of Karnataka. The Chief Secretary is the highest ranking bureaucrat in the system of the Indian government. Welcome, Dr. Rao. Finally, I just want to thank all of you for coming. The audience, for coming here today, for your participation and interaction. We will encourage a lot of questions from all of you because we have a very exciting meeting today. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Moily, it's really a pleasure to meet you today, and we appreciate you taking the time to spend here with us. It's a beautiful New York day, so it's a little cold for you, right? No. I can't tell you how pleased I am to be here with you. I'm a strong believer in entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial leadership. Because you heard I was from Babson before, and I spent many years out there. And when I read about you, I read about your reform agenda and how you like to make things happen and change happen. And that's all about being forward-looking and an entrepreneurial leader. So I'm really looking forward to this talk. We were chatting for about 90 minutes. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions from the audience. Right? Yeah. India's on a terrific growth path. So when you talk about unleashing India, in some senses it's already unleashed, right? And there's a growing middle class and a progressively younger working population. Projections are that by 2020, the average age of the working population in Europe will be 45. In the US and China, it'll be 37, but in India, it'll be 29. Yeah. And another way of looking at this is the numbers of working age adults. So you've got 781 million in 2010. And by 2020, there will always be a billion working age adults in India. So this younger potential has the potential to offer India a bountiful demographic dividend. And if the working population is gainfully employed, the middle class population will continue to grow. So that'll attract foreign investment, it'll spur domestic demand, that can lead to a virtuous cycle of growing demand, leading to business investment, leading to more employment and more wealth, and so on and so forth. But it's predicated on the growing working population being gainfully employed. So that requires a young working population continuing to be a valuable, productive resource by providing a large pool of efficient and effective labor, as well as starting new ventures. So in a nutshell, the country needs education to continue developing skills, new or rather less regulations to help businesses grow by becoming more efficient and effective and reducing corruption, and an environment that stimulates entrepreneurial activity and fosters entrepreneurial attitudes in business. So the three areas I'd like to talk about. One is education. I'm the dean of a business school, so I have to talk about education. Government regulation and anti-corruption measures, and an innovation policy that would promote entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial leadership. So, Indian education, let's talk about that. Right? It's in a dismal state, with about 1 out of 8 children who start first grade graduating from 12th grade. According to World Bank data, India's literacy rate for ages 15 and above places it in the last quartile of 114 countries. Even though the country produces 2.5 million to 3 million college graduates a year, only 2% have received formal vocational training and just 8% non-formal vocational training. So industry estimates also note that only 25% of the engineering graduates are qualified to work for a multinational company, leading many companies to invest in retaining graduates. So you've been a proponent of increasing access to technology across the country. So can you tell us some of your ideas of what to do to improve the system through the 12th grade and then beyond the vocational training and the professional training? Go ahead. Yes. So we can focus on the education part here. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Ashok Rao. Good that you brought in the reflection of your father being first Chief Secretary of Karnataka, Mr. P.V.R. Rao. Of course, he did not serve us, but he was there. But he's a legendary figure insofar as the governance is concerned in Karnataka. So good to meet you here. Back home, I recollect my Karnataka experience. You all know that, you know, the Karnataka, that's my place where I experimented many of my reform measures. As a reformer, you know, my attitude is creative destruction. You know, unless you destroy something, you know, you cannot create. Because one, you know, the psyche of India is, you know, that we always, you know, dwell in past. The past has a power to pull you down, but the future has a power to pull you up. I think we have been too much on that accumulation. We don't want to even a small thing, you know, we don't want to dispose of, store somewhere. I think ultimately, you know, our India should not become a, you know, the waste go down. We need to build on that. That's why I said, you know, the creative destruction. This is the theme of even our 10 avatars. Because, you know, one avatar is different from the rest of the avatar. That means each one creates a niche for the next world. This is how, you know, when we live, you know, we live certain things, you know, which is for the future. That is why the futuristic attitude to build a nation is very important. You know, we all, you know, the Hindu god Ganesha, you know, it's a symbol of obstacle. You remember, it's not a symbol of anything else, it's a symbol of obstacle. And pursue the obstacle, it gives a blessing. Pursue the obstacle, it will set you free. This idea, that is how, you know, it's one of the trunk he cuts, puts it here. Because, you know, he wanted to see that, you know, that should be the symbol. Ultimately, we should not sink in the sea of obstacles. Ultimately, we have to swim, conquer, combat. This is what our symbols, particularly religious symbols, they say that. I must tell you that, you know, from Karnataka, tracing back from Karnataka, I introduced two things. One, building a world-class infrastructure for the information technology. That in Anekal Taluk, you know, near Hosur. Then, you know, one international information technology park in Whitefield. These are two of my, when I started this electronic city in the year 70s, when, you know, people, I think the world also did not think of IT revolution. And I acquired 25,000 acres of land without a pie contribution from the government. Government opposed it, saying that it's a crazy idea. Then we built it. And today what, you know, the Mr. N.R. Narayan Murthy, the founder, chairman of the Infosys, you know, he had 10,000 rupees. He wanted to go to Pune. I halted him, say no. I will give the, you know, plot of land, you know, on deferred payment. I said I will give the term capital from the KSFC, the also working capital from one of the bank. I organized everything. And today you know how we have come out. Now one place, the electronic city of Karnataka, which all started with like these 10,000, 5,000 entrepreneurship. They have grown in such a way to the export of the software from electronic cities 1 lakh crore. This is how, you know, potential with us. Then, you know, I never stopped with it, creating an infrastructure. We created that kind of world-class education, professional education. And, you know, which is accessible to everyone.
Were you also responsible
Common entrance test.
for the IITs?
No, IIT, no, it was established 45 years back.
No, not IIT, IIT.
I know.
Yeah. I thought you were responsible.
Yeah. I'm also responsible for that creating a world-class professional education.
Right.
And I created a system of common entrance test.
Right.
So, on merit, the best of the people, they will not be denied any seat. At the same time, the equity will have to be there. And that's how today we have become the net exporters of the professionals. Silicon Valley may be there because you make a proper analysis here, maybe because of Karnataka. We have contributed many entrepreneurs there. I'm just telling you this is possible. I'm just telling you that, you know, given the physical infrastructure and the manpower infrastructure, you know, we have the potential. And, you know, That's how, it triggered off a big technological explosion from Karnataka. And I would like to say that, that theory I now pursue, as a chairman of the second Administrative Reform Commission appointed by Dr. Manmohan Singh. In the year 2005, I gave 15 reports on the governance improvement. Because, mere, talent in some individuals or, mere few, the island of excellence will not take the country forward. That's how I give a report where the systems, mechanisms, institutions will have to take care of the growth trajectory. I must tell you that when taking it little forward, there were problems about the implementation of reservation in the IITs, IIMs. You may kindly recall, people said there will be bloodshed. Then the Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh called me and said, how to resolve this problem. Then I became a chairman of the Oversight Committee. Then I called out, when I reviewed the IITs and all our apex institutions, in fact, had seen a growth rate of only 1%, all the 45 years. That's 0.5% less, 1% less. All those chaps used to come to Harvard and they used to get admission. You remember?
I remember.
They go back. They go back. We did not expand. Somewhere, down the line, we always feel we are very conservative. Any explosion of the talent or, any expansion will ultimately nullify the merit. This is the myth we have. And that's why I put a slogan in the preface of my report on the Oversight Committee: expansion, inclusion, and excellence. In a small pond, you don't get that kind of a quantity of fish you require. You don't get that kind of a quality of fish you require. But in an ocean, you have choice. That is what we should have gone on this trajectory long back. I gave a report. All this bloodshed question was all ruled out. I took every director of the IIT, IIMs, and took full confidence. I said, what do you want? They said, infrastructure is the problem. Then, the faculty is a problem. I said, what do you want? Don't stop at that. Find some solution. They came up with solution. They wanted 15,000 crores. I said, for 5 years, I said, I will give you 18,500 crores. I did provide 18,500 crores. Today, after a lapse of 5 years, these institutions of great excellence, which expanded only 1%, within 5 years' time, they expanded to 54%. I'm just telling you, this is possible in India. But we have to put in money, we have to put in faculty. No compromise on that. I said, don't make any compromise on that. I'm just telling you that these are all the few, because otherwise, I will be shutting out all questions. I don't want to, prolong that way. That's inspired by that. That is what I was a law and justice minister earlier to my taking over the corporate. There again, this is a myth that a lot of arrears in the court. How do you do that? Cannot be done. One small letter without spending even a single pipe, except postage. Or I don't think it is. I must have xeroxed those letters to all the chief justices of the High Court, 21. I email or I don't remember anyway. But anyway, I must tell you that there are things, which you find an obstacle. You find it's not possible, we can make it possible. Then, within 6 months, can you imagine, all the high courts released 6 months, 8 lakh under-trial prisoners. Everybody said it is not possible. I said possible. And thereafter, there was a program, but 3.5 crore pendency of cases in the subordinate courts, smaller, other than the high courts. I gave a program from 1st July, of course it will conclude on 31st, to dispose of, out of 3.5 crore cases, 1 crore cases. It's happening on the ground. These are all the things, which you find, at a distance, you find is a hill of, mountain of problems. Ultimately, it will melt away. This is how the Indian mentality will have to work. I'm just telling you. Few examples. Then now we are working on I'm working on a corporate affairs ministry. There was an act, 1956, Companies Act, totally outdated. 1991, Dr. Manmohan Singh was then the finance minister, now the present prime minister. He introduced a big bang, liberalization policy. And we are here today. The rise of the middle class, the industries, vibrant economy, and consistently 8 to 9% growth rate, sustained growth rate, not one time. It's possible because of that liberalization policy. But many a time, we do it. But where are the systems? There are a number of fiscal reforms which should have taken place. There are a number of enactments will have to fall in line with the liberalization policy. Now I come out with a comprehensive new company bill altogether to meet with the challenges for today and tomorrow. And possibly within a week it will be approved by the cabinet in the winter session, which is going to commence on 22nd November. I think November or December I am going to get it passed. That introduced number of, even earlier to that I introduced number of systems which are incorporated there. Number one system is, you apply for a registration of a company, in the morning you get the registration copy in the evening. And at the most, 85%. The other 15%, if there are any clashing names or, like company name and all that, it will take another 24 hours. But 48 hours is a must. It is happening.
Now it takes
and amalgamation, mergers, take 18, 20 years, 25 years. By that time, the entire company would have been totally dead and only carry the dead body. But I know we have all, curbed that kind of a delay. There are questions like, in US, competition law is as old as 100 years. Unfortunately, in our country, of course, we don't blame because it depends in the democracy. And as a result, we introduced our bill 2009 and an act, competition law, as against 100 years. Now we don't have a competition policy. And to be very frank with you, competition policy will be the second bang of great reforms after liberalization already want to take place. I come here for a discussion with the Federal Trade Commission in Washington. I have completed, then the Security Commission yesterday, then Department of Justice. I had very good discussion. Now we are collaborating with them. With the George Washington University, I am going to collaborate. I want to establish an Institute of Company Affairs, which should be another world-class institution in the country. Already
you should do something with R.I.T. also.
Yeah. I know it will be done. So I'm just telling you that if that would be a single market, if competition policy comes into effect, possibly by January 2012, I will get the approval, cabinet approval for the competition policy. As a result will be phenomenal. 50% of the inflation can automatically come down. And growth rate will rise 4 to 5%, GDP. This is the kind of potential we have. I'm just telling you, of course, with the transition, there will be, people may not take it well because people will have to take this forward. Can you imagine we never had a public procurement policy or a law? Corruption is mainly because of that. A lot of discretion. Our Prime Minister on the ramparts of the Red Fort on 15th August 2011 announced that competition law, the public procurement law will be in place by December. Now we have worked on it. If that comes, I think the large area of discretion and will be wiped out. I mean, these are all, there is no point, in telling that, because we must have been already shadowed in your mind with regard to the Anna's, this thing. The question is that, we have a very strong act, Prevention of Corruption Act, which was initiated during the regime of Rajiv Gandhi. All this, some of the former ministers, chief ministers, and the officers are inside jail because of that strong prevention of corruption. Because there is a misnomer and outside impression that we don't have a good corruption, anti-corruption law. There is. It is in place. Okay, at the same time it was thought, even by our own, our Sonia Gandhi, the chairman of the UPA, she in December 2010, in the plenary session of the National Congress, she announced five-pronged program to combat corruption. This is top on the agenda, Lokpal Bill. Of course, in April 2011, Anna Hazare came out with his team that there should be a strong. We have no dispute. We said yes. We called him. Even I took a little more initiative to call him. All right, let him come. Let us have a joint. First time we have broken all the precedents of drafting a law in the presence of people other than the government. We called them. We had 10 meetings, out of 9 they attended. Out of 40 principles or proposals included in their General Lokpal, 34 we accepted. We accepted straight away. Then 6 we said there are questions relating to constitutional amendment, questions relating to the bigger area which affects the supremacy of the parliament. We said if the parliament agrees, we are not. That's how we quickly drafted the law. It is before the parliamentary standing committee. Of course, Mr. Anna Hazare gives an impression that we are not doing it. We said we wait because they said, we should have there are two important things. Strong government, strong economy. These are the two important things that will sustain the democracy of the country. And that's why the parliament, sovereignty will have to be acknowledged. He doesn't want, you say that you are going to have a bill, going to have an act. This is, of course, I can understand his anxiety. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. We are going to have a bill. Maybe possibly in December 2011, we are going to get past this strongest ever possible, even giving a constitutional status to that, which he has not demanded. To that it is going to come. We have no dispute on this. We are not, but things cannot go by perception. That's the only thing. So that's how these things are going on. I think you all know that even when we are the worst of the the world faced the worst of the economic crisis in 2008, India is one where not even a single financial institution or a nationalized bank nor national bank collapsed. They sustained. We are not given any stimulus to the banks. In fact, it is the bankers who give us the money, government. This never happened in any economy, but it happens in our country. Because we built those institutions with a prudential, financial and fiscal arrangement.
And actually, State Bank of India is now getting a pretty good reputation.
They are also building up. There is no such thing as they can any. Very well. Karnataka, Corporation Bank, even the new emerging bank like Corporation Bank, they are doing extremely well. So this is the strength of India. I am just telling you this. And even in the 2010-11, we are undergoing world economic crisis. You know how 4 or 5 prime ministers had to resign in European countries. Greece, then Italy, and some of those, all these, yes, they are resigning. That is because they could not manage. But our countries, we must be proud, I must be proud that we could sustain that. And we maintained but only 1% came down. I know, I think 1.5% came down GDP. But again we recovered within 8 months. Now we are in the trajectory of going to 10%, 11%, maybe.
Yeah, actually, I heard it's going to go ahead of China.
We are going to cross China within 3 years. That's the strength of your India. Of course, we must have, at the same time, there are people, negativism, that will kill us. Sometimes the perception of negativism can kill any democracy. And we have an impression, I must confess it. So why this is happening? Because all our youngsters, they see the TV, that they say Arab, what is the Arab Spring, and the Athenian type of a democracy, like city-states, city countries, where the people come to a square, they make slogans that the government can go. They think that India, this can also happen. I'm sorry to say. India cannot happen because 1.25 crore people, billion people. Such a big country like that, it has a firm root of democracy. When democracy everywhere around the country collapsed, India always stood up. That is the inherent strength. We want a lot of goodwill of the people, staying here.
I mean, it's true. I mean, India is more democratic
Yeah,
than all these other Arab
that's
countries.
it. Many voices. There are many voices. There is no single voice. We don't silence either through the government or any other source channel. We silence any voice. No. Many voices. It's a healthy democracy. We have an independent judiciary who can do anything. They are doing it. And we have independent media. Of course, not that difficult to curb their independence. No, we don't want to interfere. That's part of it. We need to do that. Of course, the question is that we need to now build capacity within the within the government at all levels, to ensure that we sustain this kind of a tremor or a tsunami, which is created by some public perception. I don't think one should become panicky and sink, further. We need to. I think that kind of a caliber has not been built in the politicians. That kind of a caliber has not been built with the bureaucracy. This is what we lack. Yes, but the time to come, people will understand.
But it's part of maturity.
Yeah, it is part of the. This is a part of the transition.
Yeah.
I must tell you that Nelson Mandela once said that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. Sometimes we see only many more precipices, many more valleys to climb down. That is not correct. You must see another hill that you can climb. And this is where we are trying to build our country. And in fact, this is the capacity with which we have to go. I can just close my speech by quoting about 14 principles with which we can build the capacity of an individual or otherwise. One, the ability to grasp the human dimension of every situation. The ability to know what questions to ask and when ask them. The ability to see what does not yet exist and bring it to life. The ability to see the challenge and the solution from every angle. We are all become, many a time, as bureaucrats or the politicians, we become panicky. That is the tendency we have. I think, we have the ability to resist. The ability to distinguish the essentials from the important. The ability to drive to do more and to do it better. The ability to communicate their vision passionately and persuasively. The ability to move forward when everyone around them is retrenching or slipping backward. The ability to connect with others spontaneously. A curiosity about the unknown. A passion for life's adventures. A chemistry with the people they work with and the people they want to influence. The willingness to fail and fortitude to get back up and try again. I think these are all the things, in a civilization. One has to, But in India, I must tell you, there is no clash of civilization. Arnold Toynbee, who said once, a great historian of the world, he said, I identified 21 world civilizations. Out of 21 world civilizations, 19 civilizations have collapsed, not because of the aggression from others, but because of the crisis of character within. I think this should not happen. This should not happen with our civilization. If there is one civilization which survived the travails of history, it is Indian civilization. That is what we need to think about it, look forward, and when the vision is clear, the clarity is there, I think country, India has a great future. Thank you.
I'd like to open it up for some questions. I mean, one of the principles that you had outlined was asking the right questions. So So if people are, I can't quite see out there, but there's a speaker out there, right? There's a mic.
Yeah, I'll be putting a mic here, and,
Yeah.
and there's one here, and but if you want to raise one more, so that's fair enough.
Yeah, if you want this.
All right. We're going to get this part of the program becomes very informal. Don't like any questions.
One of the things that I think you see with Dr. Moily is that he is very, very positive. And that's an essential characteristic that's needed for somebody who's trying to reform. And
I could sustain that, that kind of a optimism, because of my wife. Mrs.
Thanks for keeping. So, any questions? I'm told this audience will be more than eager to ask a ton of different questions, so please feel free to come up and ask questions.
My name is Dr. Ashok Rao. I have a question about the competition in the global market. China is always threatening everybody, including India. And we have labor, cheap labor in India. Even then, we are not able to compete in manufacturing sector. And software, why we are able to compete with China, language barrier. Once it goes away, we will have a tough time. So we have to work hard or do something towards that. Keep in mind, the competition next door. And the second question, maybe very, I think, touchy one. Do you think small states are going to have the growth in India? Smaller states.
Yeah, can I answer that?
You can answer.
Are there any more questions?
No.
First thing comes with regard to the competition. Yes, competition adds efficiency. Competition adds the quickest growth. We have a very large domestic market, untapped. We have surplus food grains, but we are not in a position to distribute because of various, the restrictions, bottlenecks. And in one state people starve, another state people, they are, just stuck up with the stock. And even in Punjab, Andhra, where a lot of grains grow, now I think they declared a holiday that we don't grow anymore. No, because there is no market here. So the competition is a must, and creating a single national market is a must. Otherwise, we have isolated prosperity, we have isolated, the poverty, isolated starvation, isolated indigestion. This cannot happen. This is the thing which we have to, remove that. So yes, the fear of China is our, we are competing with China, no doubt. But we have come out with a new manufacturing policy. And the new manufacturing policy as a component of competing even with China. I think, yes, traditional thinking was that there's a close neighbor, powerful neighbor, China, so opening up will definitely mark the prospects of entrepreneurship in India, which is not correct at all. We have made assessment, number of assessments have been done. When you grow, there is no question of competitor. No question of the China taking over. So the problems will melt away when you grow tall, giant. We should think of India growing as a giant economic power, which is good. Now, as it is fourth, the fastest economy, and it is next to China, highest GDP growth. Maybe within 3-4 years we are going to cross them. I don't think we should look pygmy while look at another country. We need not. There's a saying that when you are growing, you grow. One of my political gurus said, when you grow, allow the other man to grow. Don't look at him, then you become pygmy. you will not grow. You are only looking at it. Let us not be envy of another nation, envy of yet another person. Our country has always grown on its own height. We have to know I think I can say that, the 1835, Lord Mackay, who gave us the English language, also colonized our mind. I am just telling you. He said, it is in 1835. He said, I have travelled across length and breadth of India, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber, the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. This is the great strength of India, let us not underestimate us. And, how we have, grown in IT industry today. Unparalleled in the world. Of course, there is they are learning English language, we are conscious of it. China, they are chanting English language. Yes, let be there. If they learn, we again, the poise ourselves to, to master the English. I don't think, any other country in the world who have mastered English language as Indians. That's the great strength of it.
What's happening in the IT business, other industries.
We are doing what we have done for the IT industry. We are now perpetuating that kind of a philosophy and approach for others. You have mentioned about the smaller states. Yes, it is. I think you may be at the back of the mind Telangana. I am aware of it. But that doesn't matter. But I must tell you, yes, smaller states in terms of economic viability, yes. But it is now, in terms of political viability, I don't know. I am telling you the smaller state, what has happened with Chhattisgarh, full of Naxalism. This Jharkhand, again Naxalism. Goa, it has been a most metropolitan state. Now you know what is happening. Goa, because of political instability. And if the entire party can go out and form another party and form a government. These are all some of the smaller, of course there are limitations with the smaller states. There is also advantage smaller state. I think it's a matter to be tested, which is why.
My question is towards the national development, towards the national. I'm not looking at,
I know, but ours is a federal system.
Yes.
It's not a unitary system. We grow with the states. If the state do not grow, nation will not grow. So it's all interlinked.
Thank you. I think I have another question here and then various people. So we just keep it moving if you don't mind.
Thank you very much. My name is Srinivasa Chakravarti. First of all, I should thank Mr. Moily for clarifying some of those doubts we had about Anna Hazare and the corruption we have in India. I watch a couple of Indian channels on the TV and they try to sensationalize the issues and they play to the gallery. I have one point to make. It could be a general saying or a question. Some of the laws which are built into the Constitution, particularly the anti-corruption law, sometimes it is inherently gives a counterproductive effect. One of them is that if a person complains to Lokpal against a particular person in the government, if the charges are not proved, the person who complained goes to jail for 2 years. This is some kind of a firewall in between the government and the person. Of course, there should not be any frivolous complaints so that the whole government machinery uses its resources to answer your questions. But a person who is so powerful in the government, for example, a chief minister of a state, will use all his resources to make sure that the complaint is wrong and he is asked to go to jail. Is this part of the law or is this, I cannot argue on this because Parliament is supreme. Parliament will pass the law. But if the law is written like this, what is the solution to the common man? Thank you.
But I can tell you at the outset that it's not part of that penal clause for filing the frivolous complaint is not part of the Constitution. It is now, of course, it is proposed in the bill because you have to prove that it's frivolous. Just because there is a complaint fails doesn't mean it is frivolous. That's why then punishment is not called for. So it is a point which needs to be now. It's being considered by the Parliamentary Standing Committee. It is not yet becoming a law. I'm telling you. But of course, there are certain constitutional provisions, Article 309, 310, and 11, which gives a lot of protection to the bureaucracy, civil servants, where you cannot do that. It requires a lot of sanction and all this. Of course, in the Administrative Reform Commission, in a book, in a volume called the Refurbishment of the Personal Administration, I recommended that Article 309 should go. So that that kind of immunity enjoyed by the civil servant will go. As a result, they will have to be treated just like any other citizen, insofar as the complaints are concerned. So I think this is a matter which is before the consideration of the Standing Committee, not yet become a law. But anyway, it is not part of the Constitution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moily, and I'm really amazed by the energy level and the enthusiasm you have. Thank you.
Hi, this is Shrikant. I really appreciate for you coming here and Dr. Ashok for organizing this event. On a personal note, I congratulate your son for doing milk growth, what he's doing for milk growth. We are a lean startup company focusing on creating a global institution network. We are creating a platform for Indian education institutions to have an open access to opportunity and knowledge. So in this regard, what kind of policies and regulations do you bring for Indian institutions which are pro-business rather than they're more regulated towards benefiting some group of people? And then our vision was basically to, in 5 years or 10 years down the line, we expect, India would be a huge potential for exporting education solutions to the world. So we're having that vision in mind, and we're starting. So in order to achieve that, what kind of support that government would create in terms of regulations in education sector?
Yes, it is making business in India.
Yeah.
From the NRIs or the entrepreneurs here.
Yes.
We have taken all these aspects into consideration, and in the new company bill of 2011, which is now before the cabinet, which is going to be a law within a month or two, we'll take care of everything. The transparency is the mantra of that particular act. And you also know that, we have taken into consideration many of these aspects. The Company Affairs Ministry, the Corporate Affairs Ministry, we have a portal called the MCA21, and absolutely transparent. Absolutely transparent. Even the statements of accounts could be filed online. Need not go to the interaction between the authorities and the companies are totally eliminated. You can deal with them only by. And you must know that I have brought out the state-of-art bill, companies bill. Even UK as an act, company act with 350 provisions. I have a bill with precisely 350 provisions. So that we have provided, because it is organic development. What happens, it will have to be flexible. Whatever we would like to do, we have provided scope for incorporating any procedures in the manual, in the notifications, all that has been provided. So that means to say, some of these things which you say that, the certain obstacles or what you call the hassles in making business in India. World Bank comes out with that every time. In making business, India, stands, lower in the ladder. So I particularly addressed all those hassles. Now, MCA 21, I'm getting into the trajectory of MCA 22. With the result, all these problems which are addressed in creating hassles in the business, we are trying to remove that. And even, there is a legal hurdles. As a law minister, what I have done, we are now creating the commercial benches in each of the 21 high courts. So that the case filed with regard to any patents or investment, either from abroad or inside or FDI, should be disposed of even the last point within 1 year. We have already brought that bill, creating those. Then, as far as we have also created now and brought in a new state-of-art bill on the conciliation and mediation law. As a result, India will be the most attractive hub for making arbitration. Like that, many things are in place now. I think within 2-3 years down the line, I must tell you that all that hassles which are projected, India is a country where people are dissuaded from making investment, will melt away.
My question is more specific to education sector. Education sector. With private bill passing that foreign institutions can start universities in India. When it comes to private education sector, from Ministry of Corporate Affairs, what kind of regulation do you expect that to be happen? Do you more specific? Do you expect rather than going AICTE for engineering, saying do you going to give more autonomous power to each institution? Do you expect that to be happen in the near future, or
now this is a domain of the Human Resources Development Department, and in fact they have already brought in a bill. It is before the standing committee. So particularly addressing this problem. In fact, at the same time, you will really appreciate any country will have its own standard laid down. Making entry is one thing, but even after making an entry, you need to maintain certain standard which that particular nation will have to safeguard. No country is exception to it. Even now, you can collaborate with other universities. That is allowed. But standing, commencing the institution of their own from outside, there are certain standards are laid down. I think if that bill is through, maybe that the answer will be available to you.
Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Ram Ramanan. I'm an independent consultant. Thank you very much, Your Excellency and Dr. Ashok Rao, for this afternoon. India has had a good growth trajectory economically and is projected to have a great growth trajectory in the future. My question, or basically I want to seek your comments on where is India in terms of healthcare for the average person? How affordable is it today? And I know it's an important component, and what is India going to do about it in the future? Thank you.
We have issues on healthcare. In fact, I don't say that we have the best healthcare system in the country, as we have in US. I do agree with you. But this is an area which we are trying to make a lot of strides. In fact, we have already brought in national health environmental schemes, which is in place. We are spending a lot of money on that. Now definitely, with the kind of system, I don't say that's the ideal one, but we are also bringing in a lot of insurance schemes under the healthcare. Yes, I do admit that as on today, I don't think that we can say that we are very happy and comfortable on that. But in years to come, I think we are going to. This is one of our priority, and it's one of the items which is top on the agenda. Companies are concerned, we are first time in the world, over. We have brought in a concept like corporate social responsibility. We are trying to say that, because, the companies, they have a duty to perform for the community. And we are working on schemes, maybe that this is one of the healthcare will be one of the issues. We have as many as 300 most backward districts where an investment will not go because the basic facilities are not available, health, education, etc. So I think, with this kind of a new concept like the corporate social responsibility, which is first time introduced in our bill, which is not available any other act or any other country. We say that it is not a charitable proposition. In fact, this is a social business you are doing. And you create that kind of environment, the basic facilities all over the particularly 300 districts, which are considered to be most backward. Perhaps you would have created fertile business atmosphere in those places. The country can grow like that. It is what we call fastest development, inclusive development. That's the principle, underlying principle with which country is now growing.
So when I talk to somebody about corporate social responsibility, the response was, why don't we just add an additional tax? And then the government can use the mic, please. So the corporate social responsibility requirement in the new Act asks for a 2% corporate social responsibility contribution, right? So the question that came back to me was, that sounds like a good idea, but why not just have the government add a 2% tax on the corporations and then use that tax to distribute it the way the government sees fit?
Yeah, tax is not the solution. I'm telling you, even this corporate social responsibility, I think there is a public perception that we have made 2% as mandated, which is not correct. It is, we have put the word like endeavor to spend 2%. Particularly that one level and above, having 500 crore transactions like that. That there is a proviso to that bill, that provision, saying that you can always, this is only, the disclosure is mandated. The spending is not mandated. And they are spending on their own. But if you are not in a position to spend that 2%, in the proviso, we have said, justification for not spending can be given, then you are exonerate. I think, we are just introducing this concept in the country as an innovative measure. Perhaps this will succeed. Taxation ultimately, will lead to many other things. It's more rigorous. I don't think, in a business atmosphere, social welfare measures can be introduced by taxation.
Okay, I think the way of